At the start, there's hardly anything to see. Just a mention in the news, a tiny article tucked between ads for TVs and shoes. In China, in some city there with some unheard of name, some people were sick. Why would I care? The story seemed the same as what we'd often heard before. Some brand new kind of flu to worry doctors, till they find a cure, because that's what doctors do. The illness existed. I didn't need to know more. It seemed like something I could ignore. More stories showed up to say that cases had now appeared in Hong Kong or somewhere else far away. I was going to Greece in December, but there wasn't a reason to fear. The problem was Asia, remember? I wasn't going anywhere near. I went and came back and was healthy. But the news I was hearing by then said it probably would be a good thing not to go through an airport again. It was still far away, so you see, it didn't mean anything to me. It didn't mean anything to me when the first case occurred in Japan, or when a West Coast man became acutely ill when he returned from Wuhan. Then my son and his old friend from high school went off on a trip they'd long planned by way of the airport in Hong Kong to spend a few weeks in Japan. He brought back plenty of pictures, but no illness, from what I could tell. I was worried while he was off traveling and relieved to see he was well. And with him healthy, back upon our shore, I thought I didn't need to worry anymore. We hauled our daughter's hundreds of pounds of gear up to her dorm room on the 4th floor so she could start her college freshman year. Already there were cases in this country. In a month, some schools had closed, but her school said they'd stay open unless the university found a confirmed case in an infirmary bed. The next day, they had one. We got back in the car, drove down, hauled gear back down 4 flights of stairs. The school said they would go to online learning, but they need a couple of weeks to prepare. That she'd miss the normal college life seemed a shame. I'd no idea how little life would stay the same. We'd already been told that we should avoid bar mitzvahs and weddings, and we couldn't blame those trying to protect us, but we felt paranoid when we heard that our age would now put us in danger. Going out in the crowd was too much of a chance. That was strange, but what seemed even stranger was deciding whether to go out and dance. Will our group meet this week? We decided we would, 12 of us, all older, but we didn't sneeze or cough. The next week, though, we decided we should be more cautious and take a little time off. We'd no idea just how much time it would take, the adjustments that we all would have to make. The adjustments that we all would have to make involved not doing some things and doing others instead. We couldn't go out to eat, but we could stay home and bake. Soon people were boasting of their homemade sourdough bread. It had to be sourdough. You couldn't buy yeast. Or flour either. There was none in the stores. There was pre-baked bread on the shelves at least, if you were willing to shop. That meant going outdoors, and the warnings all said that you shouldn't do that. If you possibly could, then you should stay inside, have your groceries delivered, eat them, and get fat. Your house or apartment's the best place to hide. Although hiding in our houses seemed a shame, there wasn't anyone that we could blame. There wasn't anyone that we could blame for the deep underlying fear when we went for a walk and someone came from the other direction and passed too near. We wore masks and gloves, afraid to touch anything we passed, like a fence or tree. Touching a traffic signal risked too much, so the town changed them to work automatically. As months went by, they changed the warnings. Touch was less of a problem, but avoid sharing air. Grocery stores had special hours in the morning, so seniors could shop with fewer people there. We went and shopped those hours for safety's sake. We held our breath and worried and thought our sanity would break. We held our breath and worried and thought our sanity would break. It didn't, of course. We wished for normalcy, but then we tried to find ways to make substitutes for the way things used to be. We got software to show us on a screen some faces, each in a little square. Our usual meeting place could not be seen, and it was nothing like being there. No singing together. The delay's too much. The other voices resemble late echoes to you. Dancing means reaching for hands we cannot touch, striving for some fragment of the things we love to do. With words, the only signals we can send, can we feel like we still have friends? Can we feel like we still have friends when we seem and are so far apart? I suppose it all depends on how close you feel in your heart. When you share a fear with a face, then worry you've said too much. But they share as well. There's a moment of grace when you feel that your spirits can touch. When you tell a joke to a bodiless crowd, and one face smiles and gives back in trade a line that makes you laugh out loud, then a moment of contact is made. It's not hugging or handshakes, but still we strive for that virtual thrill. We still strive for that virtual thrill and buy online a new microphone and camera in the hope they will help us feel like we're less alone. If we're lucky, we share a home with a spouse or someone else who doesn't annoy us too much. If we're not, we're all alone in a house with no one to talk to and no one to touch. Or worse, alone in a nursing home bed, no visitors allowed to come in, and so you're stuck in your room feeling already dead with no view or voice of anyone you know. The news still shows we're in a worsening trend. When will this months-long nightmare end? When will this months-long nightmare end? In order to give us disease immunity, we need a vaccine, which will defend most of the people in the community. So there's a lot more to endure, I fear. We'll have to grit our teeth, persevere, and get stronger. But no one says it will take less than a year, more likely a year and a half or longer. In the meantime, some treatments have been discovered. Patients who get them are less likely to die, but some people take months before they're fully recovered, and each day the death toll hits a new high. We can't cheat this disease just by taking a pill. We'll try to stay safe and avoid getting ill. We'll try to stay safe and avoid getting ill. Should I risk a cafe with seating outside, or just eat a burger from my backyard grill? So far, there's no one I know well that's died. If I'm out for a walk and see someone I know and we talk to each other from 10 feet away for perhaps 15 minutes or so without our masks on, would that be okay? I don't want to be an idiot who ignores the warnings doctors advise. I might want to bend the rules a bit, but I want to avoid anything unwise. When all this is over, I want to be alive. No one can guarantee that we'll survive. No one can guarantee that we'll survive. We could just hunker down and cower in dread and wait for the Grim Reaper to arrive. But you know, it's also true we're not yet dead. Our online chats at least give us a way to stay in touch with those who cannot touch. I'll call up folks who live so far away that I've never had a chance to see them much. Distance now is meaningless. If I'm not too shy, I'll put aside my fear, make a phone call, and take the time to prove to a friend and myself we're both still here. We'll share a smile and find a way to thrive. As long as we have life, we'll act alive. As long as we have life, we'll act alive. Dance like no one's watching, for they're not. Find a lake or forest where you can drive and refresh your soul there when it gets too hot. Use your voice, or find an instrument to play, and make a joyful sound for all to hear. Give a wave to your neighbor across the way, and shout a wish that's hopeful and sincere. Let's mine some joy out of this pit of dread. Let's find a cause to smile inside our mask. Spy something hopeful when we look ahead, a ray of joy. It's not too much to ask. At the end, we want some positive memory. At the start, there was hardly anything to see. At the start, there was hardly anything to see. It seemed like something I could ignore. It didn't mean anything to me. I thought I didn't need to worry anymore. I'd no idea how little life would stay the same, the adjustments that we all would have to make. There wasn't anyone that we could blame. We held our breath and worried and thought our sanity would break. Can we feel like we still have friends? We still strive for a virtual thrill. When will this months-long nightmare end? We'll try to stay safe and avoid getting ill. No one can guarantee that we'll survive. As long as we have life, we'll act alive.